This is an introduction to the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program. My name is Ted Stevenson, and I'm just going to give a quick introduction to the program. But the first thing that I want to point out that's really important is that this program is free. Since the fall of 2018, it's free, so there's no excuse not to do it.
Do it.
Very quickly about the CFA Institute credentialing programs. There's 3 programs. The first is the CFA program that most people are familiar with. There's 150,000 plus members around the world. It's made up of 3 exams. You need 4 years of professional experience. Second program by the CFA Institute is the CIPM program, which focuses on investment performance and risk evaluation. It's 2 exams, 2 years of professional experience, a lot less numbers than the CFA program. But what we're talking about today in this video is the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program. And since the fall of 2018, it's free. So I'm highly encouraging my students, peers, family, friends, anyone that they should try this 1-hour exam, 120 multiple choice questions, no experience required. And it's a great introduction to the CFA Institute, and it's a great introduction to the investment industry. For more information, you want to go to the website for the CFA Institute at www.cfainstitute.org. The CFA Institute Investment Foundations is designed to provide anyone with a clear understanding of the essentials of the investment management industry. For more information, we'll go quickly to the website to show you some basic navigation there. So I just want to show a couple of things very quickly on the website. If you go to the CFA Institute website, Programs, CFA Institute Investment Foundations Program, you get to this page, and if you scroll down, there's a couple of things that are really important to point out. The first thing is that you can download the chapters from the curriculum for free. So anyone can do this, anyone from the public. You don't need to register anything yet. You can get the syllabus here for more information. And then all the modules are here, Module 1, Module 2. You can see that there's 7 modules and 20 chapters. We're going to talk about that later in the video, but you can download any and all of the chapters here from the website for free. The second thing that you can do is you can register for the Investment Foundations program by clicking here. Once you've registered as a candidate, you can access your candidate resources. They've got bite-sized learning modules in there, things to help you study for the program. And you can click here to learn more about the recent changes to the Investment Foundations program. So we'll just go through some quick facts about the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program. First of all, it's a self-study program. It's in English. The average study time is about 100 hours. The curriculum is 650 pages. You get an ebook when you register. You can get the print copy for an additional cost. The learning support, as I mentioned, when you log in, there's some mock exams, tutorial videos, practice questions. The exam is multiple choice, 120 questions spread over 2 hours. There's no entry requirements to take this exam, so anyone can do it. For more information, as I mentioned, the CFA Institute website under the Program for Investment Foundations, it's always available. You receive a certificate of knowledge, and I must also point out that you get a digital badge, which is very nice. You can put it on your LinkedIn profile. The cost is now free. It used to be $250. You used to have to write it at a Pearson VUE testing center. That's no longer the case since fall of 2018. It's now free, and starting in February 2019, anyone with an internet connection will be able to write the test. You'll have to do an electronic declaration that you're not using your notes to write the test. And currently there's 15,000 plus certificate holders worldwide. So just a little bit more specific details about the program. First of all, as I said, it's made up of 7 modules, and there are 20 chapters. Module 1 is the industry overview. It's looking at the investment industry, a top-down. Module 2, Ethics and Regulation, 2 chapters, Ethics and Investment Professionalism and Regulation. Module 3 is Inputs and Tools. That's where you've got your economics, micro and macro, economics of international trade, financial statements, which is a little bit of accounting, and finally quantitative concepts, a little bit of stats. But I must point out, in the Investment Foundations program, there is no math required. There are no calculations on the exam. All the learning outcome statements are defined or explained, etc. Module 4 is the good chapter module as far as I'm concerned. Investment instruments, where you learn more about debt securities, equity securities, derivatives, and alternative investments. Module 5 is industry structure of the investment industry, investment vehicles, and the functioning of the financial markets. So you can see there's three chapters in that module. Module 6 is serving client needs, investors and their needs, a very good chapter. Investment management, 2 chapters in that module. Finally, module 7 is industry controls, risk management, performance evaluation, and investment industry documentation. This is my spreadsheet that I put together, and what I wanted to show you, this is the weightings on the exam. So in module 1 is 5%, and module 2 is 10%, module 3 is 20%, module 4 is 20%, module 5 is 20%, module 6 is 5%, and module 7 is 20%. And that can translate directly into the number of exam questions. As we said, there's 120 exam questions. So if we start at the bottom and work our way back up, you can see industry controls. There's going to be 24 questions on the exam. Serving client needs, 6 questions. Industry structure, 24 questions. Investment instruments, 24 questions. Input and tools, 24 questions. Ethics and regulations, 12 questions. And finally, the industry overview, you'd have 6 exam questions. So that's the weighting on the exam. Getting back to the learning outcome statements for each module, I just listed that here on the column. I won't say them all out loud, but you can see that there's 163 learning outcome statements in the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program. So for example, if we just picked one, serving the client needs, there's 12 learning outcome statements. And so again, the recommendation is the average study time is 100 hours. So I just used the weighting based on the exam weighting. You can see that you might study ethics for 10 hours and practice the questions. Investment instruments, 20 hours. Micro, macro, the economics, the input tools, 20 hours. Okay, so that gives you very detailed information about the specifics of the 7 modules, 20 chapters, what the weightings are on the exam, how many exam questions, and approximate hours you would need to study. Okay, here's just some tips on how to use the review program. Once you register for the program, you've got access to some resources online. It says to maximize the benefit of that program is that you should read the chapters before you do the online practicing. And it says here the first thing you start with is that the learning outcome statements, the LOS, should be read before and after reading the chapters. Okay. Questions at the end of each chapter should be answered. The detailed explanations are given after the questions. It's very important that you read and practice all those questions at the end of the chapter. And the advice here is read the questions very carefully. Of course, it's easy to jump to the wrong conclusions. We learn a lot from our mistakes. I always like to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And as you're going through the program, because it takes 100 hours, you review the earlier chapters, you go back and recycle when possible as you progress through the program to keep the information fresh. So you go ahead a little bit, then you go back and review, go ahead, go back and review a bit. It's a continual process, about 100 hours. Of course, the CFA program, each level is about 300 plus hours. And so what you learn from it is the studying for any CFA Institute program becomes a little bit of a process. If you understand the process, it makes your studying a lot easier. And a big part of that process is doing a lot of practice problems, that's why online they've got the mock exam, the tutorial questions, etc. Those are very important. When you get something wrong, go back and investigate in the text why you got it wrong. Just a little bit more information on learning outcome statements. I really have to stress the importance of the learning outcome statements. That's why I've got this slide here. Learning outcome statements are presented at the beginning of each chapter and indicate what you should know after studying the material. The LOS, the chapters, and the chapter review questions are dependent on each other, with the chapters and questions providing context for understanding the LOS. And I might add that all the exam questions are always based on the learning outcome statements. So you should use the LOS to guide and focus your study, because each examination question is drawn from a chapter and one or more of the learning outcome statements. So I just want to give you a quick example. Here I am in chapter 16, Investor and Their Needs. And if I scroll down, you can see here are the learning outcome statements for that chapter. There are 5. And it says after completing this chapter, you should be able to do the following: describe, identify, compare, explain, and describe As I've mentioned, there are no learning outcome statements in the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program that are asking you to calculate. There are some calculations, and it's great and interesting and important to understand some of the calculations throughout the program, but you will not be tested on them. This is a quick slide just to reinforce who the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program is suited for. Who's it for? Well, I'd say now that it's free, it's for anyone. However, within the investment management industry outside of investment roles, the CFA Institute is indicating that these following job roles, job functions, have taken the certificate. So people from backgrounds working in information technology, operations, accounting, audit, admin, etc., including customer service. So this is really my last slide with my introduction to the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program. For more information, go to the website. But really, now that it's free, the program, I recommend it for anyone. This concludes my introduction to the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program. And I just wanted to remind you, my final point is that the program is free and that the syllabus and all the chapters are free to download from the website even before you decide that you want to register. So I highly encourage you to get more information with regards to the CFA Institute Investment Foundations program and consider doing it. Thank you.